Alright Guardians, welcome back to another episode. Today we're going to talk about my Void Hunter build. Now this build is more a support build than it is a DPS machine, so you are in more of the abilities of helping out your teammates, but it also works great as a solo build. How I have it set up this time is more of my solo play. And of course we are in the Night Stalker tree. I like to run Gambler's Dodge, Triple Jump, the Snare Bomb, which it helps weaken enemies, but also when you throw this at your allies, it makes them invisible. And I like to run the Scatter Grenade. Aspects we're running are Vanishing Step, which gives you, when you dodge, makes you invisible, and the Trapper's Ambush. This is what allows you to make your allies invisible with your Smoke Grenade. And of course, we are using Mobius Quiver for our super to deal out some damage against bosses and mob enemies. Fragments I like to run is Echo of Starvation. You picking up Orbs of Power grants Devour. Echo of Undermining. You Void Grenades weaken your targets. And Echo of Instability. When you defeat your enemies with a grenade, you get volatile rounds, which make your enemies volatile, and once you finish them off, has a nice area of effect explosion which helps take out mob groups. Weapons I like to run with this particular build is going to be the Arbalest Linear Fusion Rifle. Now, Arbalest did get a little bit of a nerf at the beginning of the season, but I still find this to be an excellent choice to take care of those barrier champions. I like to run the Unforgiven Void SMG from the Duality Dungeon. And I like to run the Heavy Linear Fusion Rifle Cataclysmic from the Raid, Vow of Disciple. Armor pieces we're running. I like to run Void for my first helmet piece. Within the helmet piece, I like to run a Linear Fusion Rifle ammo mod with Harmonic Siphon and Elemental Armaments. With Elemental Armaments, what this helps with is final weapon blows with the damage type that matches your subclass. You get an additional chance to generate more wells of that particular element. For the arms, I like to run a Void. I like to run Focusing Strike, which grants class ability energy when you do melee attacks. And then Bolstering Detonation, which class ability grenade energy is recharged when you do damage with grenade. And Reaping Wellmaker. Reaping Wellmaker, once you do your class ability, which is your Gambler's Dodge, your next final weapon blow is going to spawn that Void Elemental Well. Very handy in regenerating those skills quickly. The exotic I like to run is the Sixth Coyote. Nice thing about Sixth Coyote is you gain a second dodge charge. So this second dodge charge comes in handy when you're running solo, especially in harder in-game PvE content like dungeons, your Lot Master, and legendary Lost Sectors. On my particular piece, I like to run the Armor of the Dying Star, which is a mod out of the Artifact this season, an Arc Resistance mod, and Powerful Friends. The reason I run Powerful Friends is because I get a plus 20 mobility just to make my hunter faster. But what Powerful Friends does is when you become charged with light, all your nearby allies that aren't charged with light become charged with light. Next are the boots. I run them in a solar. I like to run Recuperation, which when you pick up a Orb of Power, you regenerate your health. I like to pick up Innervation, which reduces your grenade cooldown every time you pick up that Orb of Power. And then Well of Ordnance. When you pick up a Solar Well, it grants you additional grenade energy. So in this particular build, you're generating Void and Solar Wells. Both will help you regenerate your abilities that much quicker. Lastly, the class item. I run it as Void. I like to run Perpetuation, which reduces class ability cooldown when you use your class ability. So when you use your class ability, you gain class ability energy. I like to run that times 2. Actually helps immensely regenerate that stuff and your abilities that much quicker. And then lastly, I like to run the Well of Tenacity. Well of Tenacity is when you pick up your Void Elemental Well, it reduces damage that you take for a short period of time. So this aids in our survivability and keeps us up that much longer. So these things all together help, and particularly me in solo content. But if you're going to run this in a group or a fire team, I would recommend switching out your 6 Coyote for the Omni Oculus. Omni Oculus is going to help much more in a team setting than it will solo. And that, guys, is my Void Hunter build. I highly recommend you give it a try. Please subscribe to the channel, give me a thumbs up and a like. If you have any questions, please leave the questions down in the description. I'll catch you next time, Guardians. Stay safe.